Welcome to Becoming a Cook. I'm Charlie Wetzel. Today I want to talk to you about how to cut up a bell pepper. Now I have to admit, I struggled with this for a lot of years. When I first started to cook, I would cut them in rings, and then I'd have to get in those rings and cut out the pulp and get rid of the seeds, and then I'd have to cut them into pieces and then dice them. What a mess. And then later I would cut them into thirds or fourths and trim those. And it was probably only about 5 years ago, I saw a video with Gordon Ramsay cooking something. And he was doing a bell pepper and he did it so fast and it was so clean. I thought, wait, what did he just do? And I had to go watch it back. It's a genius way to do it. Now, I know he trained in France and cooked in France. I read his biography years ago. So I don't know if it's a French thing or if it's a Gordon Ramsay thing. I suspect it's a Gordon Ramsay thing, but I want to teach it to you because it is the best way to cut up and trim a bell pepper. So the first thing you're going to do is cut off the bottom and cut off the top. He calls that top and tail, I think. So I'm going to trim that. You've got these pieces here. And then if you look here, you can see it's exposed, the bell pepper. You don't want the pith. You don't want the seeds. So you simply eyeball it and you cut right down just short of that pith. And look at that. You've got a wonderful, perfect section of bell pepper. This last one, I'm going to do actually in 2 steps. So I'm going to cut that edge, and then I'm going to cut this one right here. Because bell peppers are shaped not uniformly, you can't always get it exactly right, but look at that. That's most of the seeds and the pulp, or pith, coming right out of that. So what you're left with is all good bell pepper. This one I didn't trim quite as well as I could have. There's a little bit right here that you'd probably want to take off the top. And like I said, sometimes you don't have this because it really depends on the shape of the bell pepper. So I'm taking that off, and this. And then from here, if you want your bell pepper in strips, you just cut it in strips. So there you have nice bell pepper strips. If you want to dice it, well, same thing. You start with your strips, and then you just turn them a quarter turn and chop across. As always, the fatter you make your strips, the bigger the pieces are going to be. The finer you do it, the smaller. And you'll notice I'm doing this skin side down. If you have a really sharp knife, you can do it skin side up. And this knife is pretty sharp. But if your knife is dull, you'll have a hard time getting through that skin. But it doesn't really matter. You can cut it either way. Either way works. Because I'm doing this, I need all this diced. I'm going to go ahead and dice up these strips, these first strips that I did as well. And if you've seen my other videos, you know the knife technique with this where you roll your fingers. With these odd pieces here with the top and tail, I don't know if Ramsay uses those. He is a Michelin chef, so he maybe wants the perfect, but as a chef, it also means he doesn't want to waste anything. So I just cut these. The strips are not going to be as long, but that's okay because I'm doing a dice with them anyway. As I said, they're always a little bit irregular, but if you do the strips and then you turn them quarter turn, and if you can get them to stay aligned, you can go ahead and chop them. So these last pieces are not as perfect as the others, but they're good. There's one bell pepper chopped, Ramsay style, and now Wetzel style.